Oh, yes, I see what you mean. Look at that. The old gang. Yeah, no, I wasn't.
I see. Sir, if you don't mind my saying, I'm a little concerned. I've seen you go through similar phases in 2016 and 2012 and 2008 and 2005 and 1997 and 1995 and 1992 and 1989 and that weird one in 1966.
I have aged phenomenally.
If you have spent enough time within dinosaur fan communities, chances are you will have seen an image of this thing. It's got fan art, it's been modded into games, it even has its own 3D sculpture. This is Spinofaarus, a creature beyond science, beyond reasoning, beyond time, as nowadays it seems to be also known as Spinosaurus in 2030. And today, on April 7th, its first appearance on the internet turns 10 years old. Here is how we got to that point. Our story begins over 100 years ago with an excavation in the late Cretaceous Bahariya Formation of Egypt, led by German paleontologist Ernst Freiherr Stromer von Reichenbach. In autumn 1912, Richard Markgraf discovered the fossils of an unusual theropod dinosaur, which were brought to the Natural History Museum of Munich and named by Stromer in November 6, 1915 as Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, after the tall spinal processes on its vertebrae. Then World War II happened. On April 24, 1944, the Allies bombed Munich and destroyed the only known fossils of Spinosaurus. It would take until the 1990s for new fossils to be discovered, which would show that the animal appeared to be related to another recently discovered unusual theropod, Baryonyx volkeri. Baryonyx had a Longaria-like snout and fish remains in its stomach, making it possibly a fish-eater living at the water's edge, and something similar seemed to be reasonable for Spinosaurus. Then Spinosaurus was brought into public consciousness in July 16, 2001, with the release of Jurassic Park 3. In the movie, a Spinosaurus kills the franchise's mascot, a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which greatly upset the Jurassic Park fan community at the time. Ever since then, online discourse around Spinosaurus has always turned controversial, as the opinions of angry fans mixed in with what little was actually known about the animal at the time. On November 27, 2012, John Conway, C.M. Koseman and Darren Naish published their book All Yesterdays, with the goal to show dinosaurs in ways they had never been depicted before. Of course, this also inspired many artists to try their own take on a more speculative dinosaur depiction. On January 26, 2013, artist Rodrigo Vega uploaded his all-yesterday Spinosaurus on DeviantArt. It walked on all fours, the spines on its back formed a hump, and most bizarrely, it had a proboscis on its snout. This design was criticized by people for taking speculation too far, giving the dinosaur mammal-exclusive features that were not feasible with the anatomy of a reptile or bird. And so, on April 7, 2013, another artist, Adrian Wimmer, graced DeviantArt with the ultimate take on this concept, Spinofaarus vegatiacus. The name references its two main inspirations, Rodrigo Vega's Spinosaurus and a comment by the user John Farr on the Primal Carnage forums. Unfortunately, the Primal Carnage forums were deleted when the game was remade as Primal Carnage Extinction, and the Internet Archive did not save the forum page that included the comment. However, as someone who actually was a user at the time, I can tell you John Farr's comment just said something about Spinosaurus having short legs and being more aquatic than other theropods. Adrian Wimmer might have cited it as inspiration, but he took it to the logical extreme. He removed Spinosaurus's legs entirely and gave it a tail fluke, which together with the proboscis made it look like the dinosaurian version of an elephant seal. In his description, Adrian says he did not intend to make fun of the two people. He just created this as satire to show what happens when we let baseless speculation run wild without taking into account what is even scientifically plausible. Everyone had a quick laugh, and then it seemed like this one-off gag would fade into obscurity until the following year. On September 26, 2014, Nizar Ibrahim and his colleagues published a paper on new fossil material of Spinosaurus, which revealed that it had unusually short legs, too short for an animal that didn't spend a lot of time in water. Whenever it would go on land, it would have to walk on all fours, or maybe even crawl on its belly. And suddenly, everything we thought we knew about Spinosaurus changed. Suddenly, Spinofaarus no longer seemed like a joke. Over the course of the following years, Ibrahim's paper was strongly contested. Some scientists said that the leg proportions were incorrect, or that the legs belonged to a different, smaller specimen, or that Spinosaurus' center of mass would still allow it to walk on its hind legs. The authors also argued for a different sail shape than what was traditionally depicted, and that was also heavily debated by other people. With every new blog post and every new paper, it seemed like what we thought we knew about Spinosaurus changed again and again. Occasionally someone would make a reference to Adrian Spinofaarus, but it didn't gain wider popularity until February 15, 2019, when paleo artist Chris Masna created a highly detailed 3D model of the creature in Sketchfab. Now people who wanted to create memes no longer had to rely on Adrian's two-dimensional side view. They had much more photogenic options. Chris also changed the species name from Vegatiacus to Vulgaris, just to make it clearer that this creature was supposed to be just a parody. Then everything changed again on April 29, 2020, when Ibrahim and his colleagues published a paper on newly discovered tail vertebrae of Spinosaurus. These vertebrae had very high spines, and the author suggested that the dinosaur's tail was used for underwater propulsion, and this is when the floodgates finally broke. Another study claiming Spinosaurus was more aquatic than previously thought made Spinofaarus relevant once more. And with the image of Spinosaurus changing again. This is also where the phrase Spinosaurus in 2030 first took off. Of course, the paper was contested by many people, particularly the question of how well adapted Spinosaurus was to an aquatic lifestyle. Were its bones dense enough, or would it be too buoyant? Could the tail actually support the musculature necessary for propulsion, or was it only useful for display? And again, how well could it walk around on land? And every new refute of a previous study brought with it a new meme on what the real Spinosaurus was like. And so it turned into an eldritch abomination beyond imagination. This is what the scientific process looks like when you have different people trying to interpret incomplete data. What will the future hold for Spinosaurus? You can only hope for more complete material, but one thing is sure, Spinofaarus has secured its place in paleo meme history. Speaking of paleo memes, why is the Papo T-Rex fucking everywhere?